So as we've already had introduced, my name is Harry. I work for Nature Research Academies within Springer Nature. Now, in my role, I conduct training workshops for researchers. And this has really been the focus of our partnership with GlobalSCAPE. We've been developing and delivering training workshops for science communication professionals and researchers. So here on this first slide, I've highlighted really our key responsibilities in our exciting project with GlobalSCAPE. As I say, we've developed a program of workshops to offer training for science communication professionals and researchers, and also an opportunity for those participants to network and potentially find useful collaborations with each other. So we've developed a program of workshops, and then over last year, we delivered these workshops, and I'll be providing you with some insights as to how we went about launching and conducting our workshops. We also worked with Ecsite to support the GlobalSCAPE mobility scheme, really to help the participation of end users in accessing our training workshops. So here at the bottom of the slide, I've really highlighted the key objectives we had from each workshop. The first one really is highlighting, we really wanted to help scientists and science communication professionals understand the broad impact of research. I think this is one of the key important aspects of science communication, understanding that broad importance. And as scientists, I think being an ex-scientist myself, we can obtain this tunnel vision. It's really about breaking that away and seeing the broader, bigger picture in science. Also being able to communicate very complex scientific ideas with clarity and in an engaging way for non-specialists. We looked at platforms to communicate scientific ideas. So for example, we looked at how to communicate scientific work through social media. We wanted our workshops to be as engaging as possible. So we made sure they were interactive. We opened up the floor to discussions often. We had question and answer sessions, and we also had activities and tasks throughout the workshops. So we had two main modes of delivery. We conducted our virtual workshops, and we had two types of workshop. The first was aimed at researchers interested in science communication, and the second workshops were aimed at science professionals and how to help them engage with scientists. We wanted our virtual workshops to be as accessible as possible, so we conducted them in one time zone most relevant and convenient for those within Asia and Pacific. Then we conducted them at another time, which was most convenient for researchers in Europe and America. As you can see, these were really popular. We had over 1,000 registrants for our virtual workshops. But also, it was a real pleasure to conduct our workshops in person as well. As you can see here, we conducted full-day face-to-face workshops in 6 different countries, actually reaching 5 continents. Overall, we had 99 participants. So as you can tell, these were slightly more intimate sessions compared to the virtual ones, which were in a way more accessible, of course. So here at the bottom of the slide, I've just highlighted how we went about developing our content. We really designed bespoke content for this GlobalSCAPE project, but also we amended each workshop's slides and content depending upon the region. So we wanted to highlight perhaps some of the regional challenges faced by our attendees. We also made sure to consult experts, host institutions, and board members when developing the content. Here is a snapshot of some of our feedback. I would say overall, our workshops were very, very positively received. This is the feedback for our face-to-face sessions. As you can see, almost 98% of the attendees felt the overall quality was either excellent or good. Almost 98% said that they will be able to use the information in their own work. And sometimes we measure our performance using Net Promoter Score. Some of you might have come across this before. 76 was our Net Promoter Score, so this was really good. This is a picture of me conducting my workshop in Bogota, in Colombia. You can see me standing out in the background as the English guy with the big ginger beard. But you can just see it on the attendees' faces. They really enjoyed this event. And I actually had attendees come up to me after the event to really show their genuine gratitude for our presence. They really, really valued how useful the workshop was. So for me, it was a really rewarding experience to actually see the impact that we had made through our collaboration with GlobalSCAPE. Here's a map of our face-to-face workshops. As you can see, it was truly a global project, reaching Colombia, Spain, India, South Africa, Australia, and Japan. Here's a bit more feedback from our attendees. Just a few quotes here from some of our audiences. I learned so much. It was all very new to me, and now I feel like I have the tools to write more effective press releases and social media promotions. The trainer was brilliant. They made the seminar interesting and informative at the same time. They are very passionate about the topic and engaged with the audience so well. So I hope that gives you an indication of really how genuinely impactful this project was and really what it meant to a lot of the attendees. Of course, with live training, there is always an element of risk and there are always lessons to learn. We did find actually that the virtual workshops were really popular. As you saw before, we had over 1,000 registrants. So it shows that there's certainly appetite for virtual workshops in this community. We found that we probably should have had a longer lead time to ensure that the applications for our mobility scheme could be processed. So we would give ourselves more time next time around if we were given the opportunity. The virtual workshops, of course, are more inclusive and accessible. All you need is an internet connection and a laptop to be able to attend. So we found these especially useful to reach a large number of attendees and a wide geographic pool. Also, it allows us to record the sessions and have other additional aspects, such as providing subtitles. The face-to-face sessions are a lot more intimate, more interactive. I certainly found it especially useful just being there in the room and being able to read the body language of the attendees. But of course, with face-to-face, we're limited in terms of accessibility. We were only able to reach 6 countries and we had a limited number of attendees. So whilst they're especially interactive and intimate, they have these, that they don't have the same benefits that maybe virtual do. So we have these 2 modes of delivery, which have unique benefits, I would say. But that's everything from me. I would like to say it has been a real joy to be involved in this project. And I should also mention this project was really led by Joanne Kashmina in Springer Nature and Geoffrey Planchard, who has now departed from Springer Nature, and also my line manager, Jeffrey Robens, who was one of the other trainers for these workshops. And it wouldn't have been possible without all of my amazing colleagues. So thank you for allowing me to speak today, and I'm happy to answer any questions at all.
So I'm Couëdic, I'm project manager at Ecsite, and I'm working on things with Clara Boissenin, also project manager at Ecsite. So I will quickly go through what was the mobility scheme. So as one of the key aspects of the GlobalSCAPE project is to empower science communication professionals, and in order to open up opportunities for professional development and networking. The project offered a mobility scheme to the science communication professional who could benefit from this workshop, but who would not be able to join due to financial, and that would benefit from a financial support. So the financial support that we were offering in GlobalSCAPE was 750 euros to be reimbursed to a selected participant to help them to cover the costs of traveling, accommodation and subsistence. So a few challenges went on the way. So firstly, it was the really tight schedule on which we were working, only 5 months. And also one of the challenges was to create an ethical and fair assessment and selection process for all of the mobility scheme beneficiaries. How we did that? So we first of all open call and we launched it before each workshop alongside with the registration. And we kindly ask all our partners in the GlobalSCAPE network to share the news with all their networks. And we also reach out at all the diary study participants to care in the diary study. And we contacted all our local, national and regional science communication partners and also advisory board members and their network on site. For the application, an online form was available when people were registering and we asked all the participants to answer to a few questions to assess their profile and if they could benefit from the grant. So first was like a few questions about their science communication background. Second was the motivation to take part in the workshop. Third one being how important it was for them to benefit from this financial support to join the workshop with a detailed budget. And also we were asking them if they were already involved in the project in some kind of way, such as participating in the diary study. And later on, once we closed the open call, we were evaluating all the application into 2 stages. The first one being the condition of participation. So it was more about eligibility criteria to check. First, they apply to a current geographical scope. So if someone was applying to join the workshop in Bogota, they should not be, for instance, in Tokyo. That would not make sense. And also we were checking if their profile matched what they could get from the workshop in terms of content, and also if the financial situation was requiring a support. After this first check, so we gathered with the jury, with partners from the project, so Springer Nature, Trinity College and Ecsite, and we were evaluating all the applications with 2 main evaluation criteria, one being the relevance of the participation in the workshop, and the second one, the importance of the potential support offered by the mobility scheme. And with that, we had a global score, and for people who were participants in the diary study, they had priority over all of the other applicants. But it's how basically we selected all the beneficiaries.
So my name is Clara Boissenin. I also work at Ecsite, and I spent the past few months working on the mobility scheme of GlobalSCAPE. So here you can see some stats about the number of applicants we received per location compared to the number of beneficiaries. So you might say, but Clara, why are there, for instance, no beneficiaries in Tokyo? So this is also related to the fact that in some cases, the applicants that became beneficiaries cancelled at the last minute. For many different reasons. So for instance, no time to process the visa in advance, or also the simple fact that some applications were not eligible in the first place. At the end of the day, we were still able to help 17 participants out of the 99 that came to these in-person workshops. So we're quite happy that this was possible. Now, of course, organizing a mobility scheme that comes with challenges and some lessons learned. So for instance, some advice that we could provide to anyone looking into organizing a similar scheme in the future would be to think even more carefully about the channels that you target to disseminate your call for applications. We also took a lot of time to reflect about the selection process, what were the criteria for awarding the scheme as well. So that's something we would also emphasize is extremely important. Along with the time frame, as already mentioned, in some cases it was a little bit tight within the context of a 2-year project when we had only 5 months to organize and implement this scheme. Obviously, budget constraints and currencies were also something to think about when you work on a global scale like this. And also in the case of a Horizon 2020 project, of course, there are some financial rules that needs to be followed that were sometimes having some gaps with rules that were taking place locally. So as we were discussing already from the start of this whole event, we do believe that inclusion, diversity is one important aspect for science communication in the world now and in the future. So if there are some people out there who are thinking, I have some money, I have some funding, I don't know what to do with it. There might be some opportunities there to think about organizing a similar support scheme. There are different ways to do this. It doesn't have to be mobility. It can be support to access equipment on internet, access to attend an online workshop as well. There might be a need for that. So we prepared a short 3-page long resource that is available on the website. If you would like to get some tips on how to organize this with your own organization, some points you might need to take into consideration. So that's available on the resources page of the GlobalSCAPE website. So for anyone who wants to go, you can go and browse. And that's it for the mobility scheme.
Thank you very much, Marie and Clara.